actually changed how you showed up as a leader? Perfume has trained us to smell pretty, not powerful. My guest today decided that wasn't good enough. She built a fragrance around intention, identity, and presence, not approval. And whether the industry likes it or not, the rules just changed. Jody Barrett, creator of Intention by Jay, welcome to Lean Into Lead.
Thank you, Trevor, for having me.
Yeah, no, this is exciting. I'm just pumped that all the people who are going to listen to this get a chance to hear about you and who you are, and a lot about this perfume line that you just launched. And I want to ask you a question because I know that this was not just about fragrance. It was a lot more than just about smelling good and being attractive in that sense. And so I want the audience to know a little bit about you. And was that, if you could share, was there a moment in your life when you realized that blending in was costing you something?
Oh, I've had a few of those moments, to be honest, through the transition of life, I guess. And specifically one, probably the most recent. And it's always hard when you have those moments because it's never comfortable, right? And for me, it was my last move coming out here. And it was just like sitting in that space of, if I don't make that change, I knew it would cost me greatly. I knew the cost for leaving was going to be hard, but I knew if I didn't go and move and grow, the cost would be greater for sure.
And can you speak a little bit about that, Joe? Like, and share about some. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do what you did, and I know that we don't have a lot of time here, but I think it's important. Like some of the decisions that you made in your life that brought you to here, and then brought you to creating this perfume line that's really meant to have an impact on people.
Yeah, so I'll give you Cole's versions of it all. So 2024, I published and launched my memoir. And I also knew while I was doing that process, I was deciding if the studio space that I had, how it would move forward. And I had to close that down and I moved online. So I had always planned on moving down the road, but the universe just gave me a bit of a detour of what that looked like. And I was faced with the decision of, do I stay and just try to, exist, is kind of how I felt. And it was just that moment of, I'd lived there my entire life from university. I had my family, my kids, everything that I've ever known is there. And just sitting with myself and going, I felt like if I didn't go, I always sound so dramatic, but I'm like, really felt like my soul would just die.
Yeah.
And I'll always sit with things like, I always ask myself the question, if I don't go, will I regret it on my last breath? And I always know within seconds the answer. And I was like, I gotta go. So for me, it was like, I packed up everything and it was kind of like, boom, boom. I had, I launched my memoir. I closed down the studio. I took a group of women to a retreat. I came back fully knowing that I was packing up an apartment to leave. Not everybody knew that I wasn't coming back because I wasn't ready to share that.
Yeah.
And I was still processing that myself. But then I got on the plane knowing that my life was going to change abruptly.
And how long ago was that?
That was that was 2024. So it's been 2023, 24. I traveled. So yeah, so just 2 years. I know it feels like it's only been a year, but it actually has been 2.
I know time goes by. Yeah, I was talking about that earlier today. Time is not relative. When you're 8 years old, a month before Christmas seems like a lifetime, and when you're my age, the year just goes by in a blink. And so time flies on us all right now. And I know that you're a successful entrepreneur, and in the health and fitness, you're a specialist in kettlebell training. You're also an accomplished author. Writing that book, how was that experience, and then sharing your memoir and a little bit about your life? How did that feel, and how has that been for you?
Yeah, it was good. It was a very healing process. Actually, when I finished writing it, I sat with it for about a week and a half, thinking that maybe that was the purpose of it. It wasn't really to share. And then I I am such a big believer in the power of sharing our stories. It gives voice to sometimes people who don't want to use their voice, but when they listen to it, they can connect with it. For me, it was a thing about learning how to let go of things, because when you and me share something that we can relate, the shame of something maybe we're carrying, we can kind of go, okay, we can put that down.
Yeah, I love that you did that, and I know how you show up in the presence that you bring. I often talk about this and talk about how we have an opportunity to turn our struggles into strengths by sharing them. So, what is the name of your book? I didn't even bring that up. So,
Oh, I don't do vanilla.
yeah, yeah, and it's on Amazon, and I'll give you a bit of a plug here on that. And so from your journey from the memoir to the move to where you are now, what actually inspired the perfume line and the intention behind it? And ironically, that's the name of the perfume as well, or intentionally it is.
Right? Yeah, it was interesting because when I started to share with people that I was launching this perfume, and they're like, "Oh, you do kettlebell, you do health wellness. How does that even fit in?" And a couple of points there that really pulled that in was always the story of, you know, just being intentional. And the last probably year and a half, I've just shown up in just a different light, being so intentional with, my space, what I'm fueling, sense. And really, when I went through my divorce, my daughter, my youngest one, all of the kids go back and forth. And we had, I bought a huge bunny, stuffed bunny, and she had a little baby bunny. And she would take the baby bunny with her. And when she would come back on our week back, she would, we'd hand each other's bunny. And then you go to bed at night and I'd have her little bunny. And the idea behind it was, when she would go, she maybe wouldn't feel as sad because she had my energy, because I'm such a big believer in energy. Yeah. And, of course, probably the scent is there too. So the backstory of where this all comes from that, because I was so intentional of what I wanted to give her, right? I wanted to give her that feeling of security when I wasn't around. And then as, I built a brand and I train and work with people, I'm like, sometimes, like if you train with me, it's like we work eventually on the muscles, but we go in, right? Because it's mindset, movement. And I always wanted to create something that, you didn't necessarily, if you weren't a kettlebell fan, you could still, I wanted to share something with someone where you could hold it in your hand. The letters are raised on the travel perfume so that you can feel it, and giving you a sense of being grounded. And, if you follow me and you ever read the story and you understand, I always say I have a lot of stories that are probably relatable to a lot of people. So I say I've weathered a lot of storms, which most people have already also done them also. So it's just like having that perfume, that moment to be grounded within, knowing you're not alone and that you can get back up and keep going. And it's so like to the core of me, I think it's, again, talking about the perfume industry, where it's like you put it on and you're hoping that someone will smell you and just fall in love with you. Yeah. And that's great. But the idea when I made it is I wanted you to fall in love with you again. Like,
and that's so powerful.
Such like a big energy thing. I'm like, if that's kind of where you want to go and that's something you want to pursue and finding, your partner or whatever, great. But come home first, take care of you first. And then that energy you get to bring, because when somebody walks in a room and they've got swag.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're like, they walk in and they just have this aura around them. I'm like, it's great that they smell good too. But that's stuff that and that's what the perfume was. It's that moment to just take that pause. I even do it now. Take a deep breath and go, I got this.
Yeah. And I love how you said that about it's about becoming you. And I'm a big believer, you and I speak about this a lot, but I'm a big believer that, we can only love others to the capacity that we can love ourselves. And that oftentimes I think that as human beings, we end up feeling the shame, the guilt, the regrets, the remorse of the things that we haven't done right. And we don't focus enough on the things that we have. And so I want to ask you something. I'm going to take this a little bit of a different direction than I was going to. But what do you say to the mothers out there right now, either single or not, who are raising kids and just feeling like, they're just not good enough, or they're just not doing the right thing, or are struggling, with the mistakes they feel like they've made? What do you tell them?
Yeah, well, that's such a valid point. And I don't think that anybody goes through phases without feeling that. Like, if you have, I'm like, come talk to me because I want to know how you did it. But just, I think acknowledging, and if you can just have a pause, because I had 3 little kids and you don't get much of a pause. That's the reality of it, because it's go. But if you can find, and that's what the perfume was like, it's just that one moment where you get to pause for you, take a breath,
Yeah.
and then go. Right. So it's just recognizing that life is busy. It's always going to be busy. And just learning the ritual, the habit of that one moment. You think about how many times you've looked in the mirror. And I always ask people, how many times have you actually really looked at yourself?
Yeah. Yeah. I went through an exercise years ago when I was struggling, and I had this life coach who said, I'm going to love you till you love yourself. And I remember thinking that was absurd. And I said, that's ridiculous. And she just gave me a simple thing to do. She said, tomorrow morning, when you're brushing your teeth, look yourself in the eye and say, I love you, Trevor. And I couldn't do it. Like, I could say the words, but I could not look in my eye. I now have obviously got to a point where I do that every day still, and I can, but I understand how that feels. And I didn't believe that I didn't love myself until I tried something that simple. Yeah. And so I love the whole, meaning and intention behind the perfume line that you've launched, and how it is about bringing you back to you and giving you a sense of power and a sense of belief in yourself. And I think that is awesome. And I know that you didn't create this, to get a whole bunch of compliments and a whole bunch of praise. That I've had the opportunity to smell it. It's a beautiful fragrance, and it is it's very alluring. But you made it for presence. You made it so that when people wore it, it wasn't just compliments. It was about showing up with presence. And what does that actually change in a room when somebody shows up, and they're being them authentic selves?
Well, I think first of all, the energy around you changes, right? You're not trying to be someone else other than yourself. So for you as a person that gets to have those moments, and we still have moments for, when you should go to things and you change a little bit because, but when you start to practice it where you show up, and I think you can start to be like, when you walk into a room, you go, it was meant to be in this room. But that's just self-work. And I'm like, when you come back to the question about the moms again, like what, telling them, or anybody who's in that place, is it's not bad that you can't look in the mirror and say, I love you. Like, I think that's totally normal. What we want to change and work on, and with the intention, is to get to that place, because that coming home to you, that loving yourself, we talk about it a lot, but I think that we dance around it a lot. And when you get to walk into a room, what that means is you'll just start showing up more as who you are. And that'll be the confidence piece.
Yeah. I like that you've followed up with that, and that it's okay, that it's, that it's absolutely, it seems to be normal, and it is absolutely fine if you're struggling with that. And I think as we get older, the more scars that we have, or the more wounds that we have, the more often that we those are the things that show up. And I like that, because I needed to hear that as well, that I wasn't alone, and I wasn't unique in how I felt. And the fact that I couldn't look in the mirror and say I love you to myself was not abnormal, and it wasn't another thing to beat myself up over, because I had plenty of those already.
Right?
Yeah. And so when people wear Intention by Jay and they walk into a room, what is it that you think that they will will feel? What will people around them feel before they ever speak? Like, what is the thing that you would really want them to put this on and show up into these rooms, and the energy that you talk about?
That's a great question. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Before I came on here today, I got ready, fully intentional. I put on my perfume, I sprayed it, and I took a moment. And what I want that person to feel is when you walk into the room, you get to walk in yourself, but all versions of yourself. Because I'm not about beating up the version you were that didn't like you in that moment. I'm like, you bring all of them together. And when you walk into that room, that feel that I want, when you have this scent is empowered, you can feel calm but curious, and just this feeling of being grounded. And a bigger piece of that is knowing that you're not alone. And I think a lot of us walk through this space, feel alone, even when you're in the biggest crowds of people. So if I can give you a scent that carries with you you're heading into, a big event and you have it on, maybe it's a moment you smell it and you go, okay, Jody got back up off the floor a million times.
Mm-hmm.
She can do it. She's here. It's just holding space for people, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And so the way that it fits with your overall business and the impact that you want to have in your mission, do you want to talk a little bit more about the kettlebell training and the wellness and tie this all together? And I know you did earlier, but I really want the listeners to understand how this really fits with who you are and the mission that you have, and the impact that you're already having, but will continue to have on people in the world.
Yeah. So like the KB Stronger training platform is mindset and movement. I'm a big believer that you have to have both. I think you can have one and then you can have the other, but when you marry them, that's when you finally connected, because I trained for so long and trained hard, and, more on it when I had that moment where it's like I couldn't lift anything because internally I needed to do some work. And same thing, if you just walk through with mindset, but you're not taking care of your physical self, your body's not healthy. Yeah. So it's the intention of, again, coming back to the perfume, it's the intention of how you think, how do you talk to yourself, how do you show up for yourself, and then the intentional movement. So, every day you're setting that intention for what that day looks like, maybe what that moment looks like. So it like really the perfume tied in really, it was kind of a no-brainer after it kind of came rapidly to me. And then I'm like, yeah, it fits all of it.
Yeah. And I understand it well. I've had lots of time to chat with you about this stuff. And I do believe you. I'm on the same page. I've been in the times where, I've been physically very fit and yet emotionally and mentally I was at a breaking point. And then there's been times where I've been emotionally and mentally and spiritually healthy. But I really let myself go on the physical side. And I mean, it's a challenge. And when you work with people, like, how do you get them there? I mean, I know for me, there's been times where I've signed up to work with someone like you or a coach of some sort. And I'm going to do this thing 3 times a week. And then something comes up. I got to take my kid to a hockey game, or I had to work late, and all of a sudden, I don't make it one day. And then I feel it's another reason for me to feel like a failure often. And so how do you help people through that?
Yeah. So big thing there is it's kind of like the snowball effect, not giving everybody everything at once and laying it out. I think time management is huge, because we pile on other stuff and then we wonder why we failed. Well, if you have 80 things to do in your day and you added 81, well, chances that the 81's not going to work because you haven't repped that enough time. Mm-hmm. Right? So my idea is you rep something enough times until it becomes a habit, and then it allows you to work on something else. So, there's so many things that, we so overcomplicate things. So I'm like, a lot of the training, I'm like, if it's a third, I said this the other day when someone started the 12-week, I said the first session's 25 to 30 minutes. I said, I want you to finish to where you can finish it to.
Hmm.
So don't finish to my 30 if you're not there yet.
Yeah.
So then you're setting your own bar, right? So you get in your 15 minutes, you're tanked. It's easier when you have that conversation with somebody. They almost give you permission to go
Hmm.
to your level.
Yeah.
And then you don't feel like, well, I suck because I didn't finish, right? But
No, that's true.
those are your start spots, right? And everybody has a different start spot. You'll never have the same start spot as me. I build stuff so that so I have a guideline for it. But
Yep.
so I think just setting that intention of what that looks like, setting it so it has feeling to it. Because when we connect an emotion, a feeling to our goals, we have a better opportunity to get there, right? So it's not just you know, in training, it's not just a weight goal. Well, how are you going to feel when you hit that goal? What's it going
Yeah.
to allow you to do? Well, I'm going to allow me to take the stairs at work. I'll show up at work better. I'll feel better. I'll feel more confident. I won't feel like I got to wear all these big clothes to cover up, and I can let this person out.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just a whole, I think it's all there, but just, not getting overwhelmed that you have to get it all at once. And going back to this story about like you train and until you get ready to marry them, I think it's a bit of a journey where, you know, it'll lead you into it if you pay
Yeah.
attention. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And so with the people that you're coaching, and I know from very beginner all the way to you've had clients for multiple years. And so what do you say to somebody who's like, wow, I want to get started, but I haven't worked out in years and I have 4 kids and my life's a mess. I have to make up for my family and all this stuff. And I want to start, but I don't know how to start. Like, what do you say to somebody who's that person? Because I believe that there's a lot of people. I've been there myself often. It's like, I want to, I know I need to. And I think you touched on something about the intention of it. I know that a lot of people set goals to lose the weight, and I think that's a great thing if that's what you want. But I also know people who have had more longevity in some of these things by setting an intention. I want to be able to play with my grandkids. I want to be able, in 1 year, I want to go on this hike with my kids, or I want to go and play baseball with them or go swimming or whatever. But what do you say to the people who are listening who are like, hey, they check you out. I love what Jode's doing. But I don't know anything about kettlebells. I'm so busy. How do you help them through that?
Yeah. Well, so I have a program that's like body weight into intro bells. So that's a good one that kind of moves you through. It's always about starting. Like
Hmm.
nothing gets moving forward unless you start. For me, I'm pretty like, well, I'm very like, if you reach out and talk to me, I'm not going to ignore you. So it's like, I think it's also like for that, building trust that you go, I understand that if I have this conversation with Jody, I'm going to feel safe in that conversation. I'm going to
Yeah.
be allowed to be vulnerable and say, I put on 100 pounds. I can't move hardly. I'm
Yeah.
like, and building that so that a person knows that you have that conversation. I'm like, okay, so we're going to start. But again, it's pushing the send button to say, oh my God, I'm going to reach out and connect or sign up. And, understanding your word to yourself is a big thing.
Mm.
Um, when you say you're going to do something, right? And you don't do it, that doesn't ever sit good inside one's soul. It
Yeah.
doesn't. And if it happens, it happens. But I think it's unfortunately sometimes we have to get to a pain threshold where
Yeah.
we're just done. And nothing's wrong with that either, because I've stood in front of a mirror in a pain threshold more than my own body could take. And
Yeah.
that's when I did a change. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's about beating yourself up when you get there. It's just like, let's just be aware. Let's acknowledge it and find the action to get us out of it.
Yeah. And I've said often, pain is the greatest motivator, has been the greatest motivator in my life. And I'm as I'm aging and learning a little bit more, I'm learning ways to actually make changes in my life without having to go to significant pain to do it. I think one of the challenges that I've run into, and speaking to countless others about, is setting these goals and fitness goals and wellness goals but it's like, I'm going to hit the gym 5 times this week and I'm going to work out for an hour. And you sign up for a program and you go, and all of a sudden, it's 30 minutes or an hour. And after 1 or 2 times, I'm sore, I'm tired, I'm frustrated. I feel terrible. And I think that you touched on this earlier, and I like how you had said, start where you're at. And if I have and that you take your clients through that, I have a 30-minute program, but 12 minutes is better than 0 minutes. And I know that you have done this before, even with, if you plan on going for a 30-minute run, if a 15-minute walk is all you have in you, or all you have time for today. And I think that's a unique perspective, from, somebody who has been as accomplished as you have, and you are somebody driven, like extremely driven, and you show off, like, it looks like you never miss a workout and you never don't eat wrong. You always eat the healthy food. I mean, that's how you show up, right?
Yeah, but there are days, there are days that there's days that I'm like, man, do I have to do my push-ups today? But because I've practiced, I think the biggest thing for me is because I practice my word to me. I post my last 25 push-ups online all the time saying I did them. And somebody said, well, you could just say you did and go to bed. And I'm like, absolutely not. Yeah. Because when you start training that and repping that, true to yourself, because I always tell my kids this, I'm like, when you do something in life and you're making a decision, you do it and you go do it. As long as when you lay your head on the pillow at night and you're okay with the decision you made and the route you made, I said, that's all that matters. Because you have to go to bed with you at the end of every day.
Yeah, that is so powerful. Jode, how do people get a hold of you? Like, what's a great way to connect with you?
All just about all forms of social media. You'd send me a DM, a comment. The website, there's the emails there that you can reach out and connect. So kbstronger.com, and I'm on IG. I'm everywhere.
Yeah, you're very, very, very active on social media and have a great following and have had huge impact on people. So I want to bring this full circle. We started off talking about perfume and about intention, and I want people to understand the intention behind the attention. It's about showing up as the best version of yourself, I believe. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but how would you sum it all up?
Yeah. So the perfume is really, taking that moment to pause, be present. Our world is busy. You wake up and most people, I jump on my phone quite quickly, and it's just that moment you're gifting yourself. Yeah. Because when you gift those moments to yourself, things will shift, right? So if you can stand there, hold the perfume in your hand, spray it, breathe it in, and anchor yourself, you're just coming home to yourself, right? And that's going to look different day to day, but it's just like when you start repping that all the time, just that pause, it allows you to think and get out of the chaos and just truly come back to who you're meant to be.
So I love that. So for anybody listening right now, someone stepping into a room this week or into a conversation or into version of themselves they haven't fully accepted yet, what's intention you want them to carry with them before they even ever say a word? Yeah,
just honor all those versions, and that you are the creator of your next version, right? And when you accept all of them, I think there's great strength and confidence when you step into that room and go, I acknowledge myself, I love myself, and I'm just going to show up today to the best of my ability.
I love it. That's the shift. Not just smelling good, but being remembered. Yes. Jody, thank you for reminding us that present isn't accidental. And everyone listening, don't just show up on purpose. This is Lean Into Lead.
Thanks, Rev.